back to the Neil Haley Show, also the Media Giant Effect and Love is Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome to the program my co-host, Kim Sorrell, author of Love Is. Kim, how are you? And I know you're excited about our guest today.
Neil, I am doing great, and I cannot even tell you how excited I am about our guest today. Dallas Jenkins, you are a superstar. The Chosen, I think, is transforming lives. Like, it's amazing what you've done. You've had such guts in your career going after things when you thought you were at the lowest, and then the highest ever crowdfunded film, and you're just keep going strong. I cannot wait to hear from you and what you have to say. Your wife is gorgeous, by the way, and your kids are so cute, and it must be fun running around after them. So welcome, Dallas. It's so nice to meet you.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you so much. And I for sure agree with you on my wife and kids. So yeah, we're off to a good start.
Good, good. So your Christmas special that you did last year, is that going to come on again this year? How is that going to work?
No, so we did a Christmas special last year that it consisted of a new, brand new episode that we had kept under wraps. It was focused on the birth of Christ, and we put that together with a bunch of music videos with some incredible artists singing Christmas songs, and we put that in theaters. It was originally only going to be a day or two, just as kind of a special event, and it sold out so fast, and the response was so significant that we ended up doing it like a normal theatrical run. And it ended up being in the top 5 at the box office, and we barely spent any money or even tried really hard. It was kind of an extraordinary experience, which has led to our decision this year to release the first 2 episodes of season 3 in theaters. So yeah, it's been quite a ride. There's so much about this that has been kind of unexpected and different.
Well, Dallas, it's unexpected and different just to go back to your father and how this has all developed to where you've done. How much do you feel that you've learned from your father to where you are today and the success you've been having, especially what you've done?
Yeah, I think that's been an awesome opportunity because my dad, 25 years ago, when he launched the Left Behind books, it was similar. There was no expectation of huge success. It wasn't why he did it. It was, he just worked to try to write, good books and honor the Gospels and honor the story of the Bible and honor Jesus. And that series blew up. And now the things I learned from him then are one, obviously the storytelling gene. I think I am happy to be part of that in our family, but 2, watching him handle extraordinary success. I've experienced failure. the movie that I did before the show was a huge failure and left me wondering if I was ever going to make another project again. Well, now that The Chosen is had the success that it's had, it's been easier for me to recognize that I have little to do with it. Not only because of what's happened, but also because I was able to watch my dad go through the same thing with Left Behind, and the humility that he exhibited, as opposed to the sense of arrogance or complacency, was for sure. When I look back on it now, it was a great model for me that at the time I could never have known was going to be a model that would matter to me in the future. But it's proven to be so, and it's been really beautiful to be part of.
What a legacy. Honestly, that's such a beautiful thing to say about your dad. And I remember watching interviews and things with him back in the day. And of course, the books are still selling, but he always did come from such a humble place. And that was beautiful. And for you to take that on now is amazing. And The Chosen at theaters, I know so many people that are just chomping at the bit and cannot wait to see the entire season. But tell us more about The Chosen, and like even the characters, how you've developed characters like Eden. What a wonderful character, that you don't really know that much about, but you've had to develop them.
Yeah.
What was that process like?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So yeah, Eden's a great example. So we know in the Gospels that Jesus healed Simon's mother-in-law. Well, you can then, and it's a very short scene in the Gospels. You don't know much about it. It doesn't mention who Simon's wife is, but we know he had a wife because he had a mother-in-law. So that's a great example of how we operate. So we look at that story and we know it would have had significant resonance in the lives of the people involved. Well, so let's work our way backwards and think about what could have led to that moment. Why would that moment have taken place? What's the historical context, the cultural context? What was happening when Jesus did that? And so we were able to then use, yes, some artistic liberty to create a what we believe is a plausible scenario of who Simon's wife would have been and why this would have been so resonant for her. So now that happened in season 1, so season 1, you see the healing of Simon's mother-in-law. But now we're going into season 3. Well, there's so much more to tell when you know that Simon's married. Well, Simon has been called by Jesus to follow him. And there's a scene in season 3 where Jesus sends the disciples out 2 by 2 to heal and to do some of the work he's doing. And as Simon mentions, to then get the same kind of criticism and resistance that Jesus gets. What does that do for a wife? When you're home alone, your husband's out doing ministry, and you know that the Romans don't want it to happen, the religious leaders don't want it to happen. You know that your husband's going to be called blasphemous and a traitor, all that stuff. What does that do to your marriage? What does that do when he comes back from a trip? I mean, we all experience this today. Anyone who's married has experienced, and I think we all have similar stories of when a spouse comes home from a trip. My wife and I call it re-entry. And you think it's supposed to be wonderful and happy, and we're so glad to see each other. And for some reason, first day back is always tense and weird and
Right.
missed expectations. Well, we dig into that. And we were filming that scene this year of Simon coming back and the weird tension that took place and the misunderstandings and whatnot. And there were people on the crew while we were filming going, do you have a recording in my house? Like, this is exactly what we experienced. Now, the reason I'm telling you that is because I do believe that's the secret sauce of The Chosen, that when you watch the show, you're thinking, that's me. I experienced that. I have the same questions and struggles that they had 2,000 years ago. Maybe the answer and the solution to those questions and struggles can be the same for me as well.
So Dallas, why theaters? Especially, streaming's the big thing, right? What made you decide to go to the theaters as well as having it streaming?
Well, yeah, I mean, and you just said it. I mean, obviously we're still streaming. The show is free and easy to watch. We don't even require an email address. I mean, you just go to the Chosen app and you can watch the show. You can catch up on seasons 1 and 2. And when season 3 comes out, eventually it'll be out on streaming as well. Why theaters, especially when it's a TV show? Well, as I mentioned earlier, we did that Christmas special last year, and we're barely even trying, and it did so unexpectedly well. It accomplished 2 things. One, it gave people a great experience. People love to watch stuff in the theaters. I love for them to see my work in theaters, obviously, up on the big screen with the great sound, the dark room, watching with other people. The laughter is better. The tears are better when you're watching it with a group. But also it gave a new, for lack of a better term, marketing awareness for the show by when it launched in the top 5 at the box office, and when people are seeing the posters in the movie theater, it's like, wow, what is this? I gotta check this out. So all those benefits are make it an obvious choice for us to try it again with this season, and we'll see how it goes.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. I know it's going to do great. I love what you said about what you said about developing Eden and what that would mean. In fact, I had the same experience with my husband. And when coming home, and you think it's going to be this honeymoon, and instead it's this tense moment where you wonder if you're going to make it after that for whatever reason. It's a crazy thing, the opposite of what you think. But another thing that I hear mentioned all the time, and that I really love about your show, about the way you're explaining the life of Christ and dramatizing it, is your use of women. That women are involved, that women are part of Jesus' life, that he doesn't send the women away like the women are less than. Right. And so often it's thought of the opposite. So what's the reaction to that been like? How has that been?
Yeah, it's been awesome. And I think one of the cool things about it is that we're not doing it to make any kind of political statement or to try to correct any previous poor portrayals of women in other Bible projects, or the ignorance of it in other Bible projects. It really is just a part of our attempt to be authentic. The stories of the Gospels have multiple instances where Jesus specifically sought out women for a particular reason. He was a woman was the first person he announced publicly he was the Messiah to, the woman at the well, which we covered in season 1. Mary Magdalene was the first person that Jesus appeared to after the resurrection. There's multiple moments in the Gospels where he had such a beautiful relationship with his mother. And these are things that if we're going to tell an authentic and meaningful story about Jesus, especially over the course of multiple seasons, it would be bizarre of us to leave out some of the really unique things that Jesus did regarding women. And I think it makes it even more resonant when you also portray what they were up against. At that time, women were such second-class citizens, and Jesus came And as we say and quote all the time from Isaiah 43:19, behold, I am doing a new thing. And one of our key phrases of The Chosen is get used to different, which Jesus says in season 1. Well, that's part of different. Jesus did things in a different way than the Pharisees expected, than the Romans expected, and even his followers expected.
Wow.
And how he interacted with women was part of that. And the response to that has been overwhelming. We have women all the time just saying, thank you. I feel seen. I feel like I can connect more with some of these people when I haven't been able to in other portrayals.
All right, Kim has a question regarding her book Love Is, and she asked this question for everyone that she has on, gets to co-host with me. Go with that question, Kim.
Yeah, Dallas, I decided a bit ago that I was going to dedicate a full year in search of the true meaning of love, because it seems to be something that we question, right? But yet God is love. And so love must be something that's alive, something that you are rather than just something that you feel. So I used 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient, love is kind, and focused on one word a month to figure out what is love that is patient, what is love that is kind. And the things I found out about love just blew my, like, I feel like I did the world's homework for you when it comes to the truth about love. And I'm just curious, like, this project has to be a love passion for you. I mean, this has been a lot of work. I mean, this isn't something that came overnight. You had to go source money. You had to come out of a failed film that you thought your career might be over. Like, where does love play a part in that for you?
Well, I heard you say the phrase love is, and for me, I mean, it's many things, but one of the key words that comes to mind is love is personal. And I see throughout the Gospels, Jesus was a God of the personal. He spoke to people directly. He met them where they're at. He called them in specific ways unique to their personalities, unique to their situations. And that's one of the things about the show that has been not only exhibited in how we portray Jesus, but also how it's impacted me, just knowing that God is the God of the intimate and that Jesus wants a personal relationship, and that love is not just something that applies to a group of people, but whether it's your wife or your husband or your kids or your friends or whatever, or even your relationship with God, love is personal. It looks a little different with each person in your life. And if it doesn't, that's a problem, because you should be sacrificing and being empathetic and being submissive to the needs of and the love language of the people in your life, as opposed to looking at love as something that you just apply equally to everybody. Or when I say equally, I mean the same to everybody, or expect it to be applied in a specific way to you. And that's what's really been meaningful to me about doing this show and learning more about Jesus, is just how personal he was.
Fantastic. In Dallas, the best place people could check out The Chosen is where?
Well, you first look for it in theaters. It launches, the first 2 episodes launch in theaters for a couple of weeks, but more than anything else, you just look up The Chosen. We're very easy to find. If you go to your app store or where you get your apps on a TV or whatever, just look up The Chosen, and you can find it very easily and watch it completely free and easy. You don't need an email address. We don't require anything from you. Everything is by choice, and you just get a chance to watch it for free and with no questions asked. That'll get you caught up so you can see season 3 in theaters. Or if you don't want to see it in theaters, that's fine. Just wait till it's free and you can watch it on the app.
All right. Well, I think it'll be the experience of seeing it on the silver screen, Dallas,
Yes.
that you think is that's going to continue to build your success. So congrats again, and I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Nice
All
to
right,
talk to you guys.
you're listening and watching the Neil Haley Show. We'll be back in just a moment. Back to the Neil Haley Show, and you know what? The Total Celebrity segment, the Media Giant Effect. I'm excited to welcome to the program first my co-host, Dr. Deborah Matthew. Dr. Deb, how are you? I know you're excited about our guest, so introduce our guest, and we're going to have a great conversation with her.
Yes, well, I'm so excited to introduce Gloria Gaynor. Her legendary career spans 40 years, never losing momentum. She has achieved global stardom and musical recognition with hit songs in the charts in all 4 decades. There are many reasons why Gloria Gaynor is synonymous with I Will Survive. The 1978 single topped the Billboard's disco and pop charts, went platinum, and won the best disco recording, the only year the Grammys recognized that subgenre. And I have to say, I've been listening to your music all afternoon getting ready for this. I'm actually in Acapulco at an event today, and I was having lunch with young Miss Mexico, who's a young girl in her 20s, and she listened to I Will Survive. We were playing it on the speakers, and I said, do you know this song? And she just looked at me and she said, of course.
I love it. Wonderful.
Well, it's fantastic to have you on, Gloria, and it's amazing to think about how long your career spanned and how, again, generations upon generations love your music.
It's wonderful for me as well.
I'm sure. All right, Dr. Deb, what first question do you have for Gloria?
Yeah, when you were first recording this song, did you have any idea that it was going to be so enduring and such a part of our culture for so many generations?
I did. I mean, of course, I didn't think any number of years ahead, but I did believe that the song would be popular for as long as it was played, because my feeling was that the song celebrates the tenacity of the human spirit. When I recorded it, I was in a back brace. I'd recently had surgery. I had a thick plastic back brace from my hips up until my armpit. And I was hoping that I'd survive that surgery and I'd survive the whole ordeal. And my mother had passed away just a few years prior, something I found very, very difficult to live with. And so, as I said, the song resonated with me, and I felt that it would resonate with anyone who was going through some trauma or trial in their lives that they thought might be insurmountable and yet hoped they would survive.
And you think it was different than certain songs? You just felt that feeling that it was going to do as well as it did?
Well, yeah, when I read the lyrics, even before I heard the melody or any music for the song, just the lyrics I knew were, like I said, would resonate with so many people.
All right, fantastic.
And now for all these decades, you've been telling us that you will survive, and you really have. You look great, you sound great. I saw you on The Masked Singer. You did awesome. So I'd love to know, what are your secrets for surviving? How do you think you have survived so well and aged so well, and you're still going so strong?
Well, often, I shouldn't say whenever, but often I sing the song, and I do a part in the song where I stop the song and I talk to the audience and I say, do you realize I've been telling you for the last 25, 30, 35, 40 years that I will survive, but I never told you how. And then I go back into the song and I change the words to say, only the Lord could give me strength not to fall apart. And where it says, you see me, somebody new, I say, because he made me somebody new. And so that is the thing that has carried me through all of these years with this song, recognizing my faith, that my faith is the object of my faith is what has carried me through every situation and circumstance that I've found difficult in my life.
And then what do you tell people that go through a really hard time, a tough time, and how they can survive in so many ways? Because we all have these losses in our lives. They could be secondary losses or primary losses, as one of my clients says all the time, Dr. Mary, because it's not about just losing somebody from death. It could be another type of loss, and how we are able to overcome and move forward.
All kinds of losses we have in our lives. And every single one of them, I can say that I've gone through, I've been carried through by my faith. Like as I say, the object of my faith is Christ Jesus, and he has carried me through every single thing. And I recognize, have learned that he loves each and every one of us with an undying, unchanging, unconditional love. What he's done for me, he would do for anyone else. And I am always willing to share my faith, because it is more than anything else I can give anybody, because he is more.
And Dr. Deb, don't you think it's such an important thing to be able to be transparent with your fans? Dr. Deborah, I think that's the biggest thing that's important is that if we
Mhm.
don't go out there and truly show who our real true selves are, people are not going to be attracted to us and want to work with us or listen to our music or work with us in any way, right, Dr. Deb?
Yeah, I think people can tell when you're speaking authentically, when you care about your fans and you're sharing that important part of you that really endears us. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Before we get again to your latest project, Thursday Night Club, I wanted to get into specifically how disco kind of just disappeared so quickly off the map, but then yet has made a comeback now. What do you think? Why music's different today than then? Where certain things like heavy metal went and
Mm.
stopped, and different things. What do you think the reason why now music lives on, but ultimately at that time? People kind of chose, or even the industry chose what to move on from, like how this disco did die.
Well, I've had people say that to me many times, and I've told them without fail, disco is alive and well and living in the hearts of music lovers around the world. It has simply changed its name to protect the innocent or the not so innocent. It is now called dance music. And because people have never stopped dancing, that's all disco music really is music that is good for dancing and makes you want to dance. So I mean, yeah, there is a specific type of beat that goes with disco music, but it evolved and people incorporated it into what they term were other kind of music because they added other elements to the music. The major thing that is missing from the music today that was very prominent in disco music was the spontaneous creativity that can only happen between live musicians playing together and inspiring one another.
Mm. So true, so true. And that's interesting we bring that up. So tell us about the latest project, Thursday Night Club, who you're playing, and also about the premise of the movie. Yeah.
Okay, the film is about a group of young people who call themselves the Thursday Night Club because they meet every Thursday night and do homework together and do different things together on Thursday nights. And the father of one of them at one point tells them that each one of them will come across a sign from God that will steer them towards something that they can do to give back, to pay it forward. And what I love about the film is that all of the children are up for it. They all want to see this sign. They all want to do whatever it is. I think that is so necessary for today because we've become so self-indulgent and so self-absorbed, in at least especially in this country, that we really need something like that to inspire us to give back and to share and to care about one another. The part that I play is a doctor of one of the young people in the club who has chosen, her sign has led her to a young girl who needs a bone marrow transplant. The little girl is only 5 years old. And she gives this bone marrow transplant. And I play a part of the doctor that in the scene that I'm in, I am telling her, giving her a prognosis and telling her where she should go from where she is.
And Dr. Deb, I think that's the important thing, to have faith and believe what we can do, right, Dr. Deb? And that's what the film's showing us, and different things that we cannot do it alone. We need others. We need also the belief that we can do it.
Yeah.
And just like your character in the movie, so much of our strength, our healing comes from our beliefs. And when we have faith, then our immune system literally works better. I mean, we have science to show that prayer and faith and belief are important for the healing process. And so in your role as the doctor, helping your patients to believe, I think is a really important role that sometimes doctors are not always so well equipped for, or don't always step in to play that role the way that maybe we really ought to.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
And then that again, that's the interesting thing, having a doctor and then someone, a doctor on the show and someone who played a doctor. Go figure, and all these different things. So Gloria, what other projects are going on with you right now, for your fans? Because people might have not known what's going on with Gloria. So tell us update us what's happening.
Well, first of the year is going to be very busy and very exciting for me, because one of the things that's going to happen is that I'm going to be writing with the team that I wrote the songs from my last Grammy Award-winning gospel album, along with a few new writers that will be added to our team of writers. And so we'll be coming forth with an album hopefully next year. Also, beginning of the year, my documentary of my life is going to be, we'll be going to the film festivals the beginning of the year, and hopefully shortly thereafter, the film will be made available to the public.
Excellent. Wow. A lot of different things going. You keep going. What keeps you, as you talked about your faith, but you have to have a regimen, right? You have to be able to keep doing all these projects and keep going like that. You have to have a plan and routine, right? Every day to keep things going.
Absolutely. I mean, I try to take care of myself. I exercise, I do CrossFit. My guy has me dragging, well, not dragging, actually pushing a 200-pound thing that he calls a tank, and different exercises that I do 3 times a week. And, just trying to take care of myself, my beauty regimen and all that. And making sure that I eat well and take my supplements and try to keep my immune system strong. And so these are all things that you need to do to care for this wonderfully made body that God has given each one of us. We really need to take care of it. And I try to do that.
And Thursday Night Club is available on PureFlix. When is the release?
November 2nd, I believe.
Okay, November 2nd. We really appreciate you coming on, Gloria. Dr. Deb, wasn't it amazing to get to talk to her, and especially with
so
the
grateful for the
schedule,
opportunity.
and come on, and really you're doing fantastic things, and you really are motivating people to keep on going, right? That's what you're doing, and survive. So I appreciate it.
And thrive.
Yeah, and thrive. Survive and thrive. Thanks again, Gloria. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. God bless.
All right. God bless you too. You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. We're back to The Neil Haley Show, also the Media Giant Effect, and I'm excited to welcome the program Jack Martin and Veronica St. Clair of La Brea from NBC. How are you guys, Jack and Veronica?
Fantastic. How you doing?
Awesome. So awesome.
Let's just jump specifically enough into the premise of the show for people who have not seen it. Jack, go ahead and tell us.
A giant hole opens up in the middle of Los Angeles, and a bunch of people get sucked into it, and they wake up in LA in 10,000 BC.
Whoa.
That's so crazy. It's because just imagine if something like that would occur, and we're so into the supernatural and things that are just can never happen, and it's become such a popular thing. Veronica, I'm sure when you heard about, got this gig, you were so pumped up based on this storyline and how it occurs, because wow, could you imagine us going back that far?
Oh my gosh, I have to imagine doing that every day. And we're still in Australia shooting the second season. So, I mean, literally, I was working earlier today. So every day I'm imagining it, and it's wild, and it gets wilder with every script that we get. We just actually got the season finale script tonight, and Jack and I were just like thumbing through it, texting each other, being like, this is epic. Every time you think it's going to go somewhere, it goes in the opposite direction and 2 steps further than that. And we love it.
And Jack, you must love shooting where you're shooting, right? With just an amazing landscape background, just really just in an environment that we just haven't experienced, right? By doing this show.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think Veronica hit the nail on the head when she said it's epic. It's so epic. It's just it's an unbelievable landscape out here. The nature is incredible, and we shoot deep in nature on these real sets. We use a lot of practical effects. The whole clearing set that you see in the show is real. We have these burning buildings, these exploded cars, these giant ruins, and we have a bunch of different sets like that are hours outside of the city here, and that's just really cool. You know, I really love nature, and so getting to shoot out there is really cool, and it really immerses you in the environment of the show.
You
We
know,
had a kangaroo jump through set
oh
like
my
a
gosh.
couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a Netflix
Yeah.
movie. There's this real horror movie. It was like ranked really well, or Amazon, that showed kangaroos and how crazy it is. That's got to be so cool to have nature, because we don't get the chance, Jack and Veronica, for nature. I remember when I was traveling and I got to experience nature and just forget about, how the days of when we were dealing with COVID, we're all stuck in our houses, and to really explore and feel like we're away from the environment that we usually hang out in. Isn't that true, guys?
It's so true. I think people are really sick of being cooped up, and I think that's one of the appeals of the show too. Also, it's an escape in and of itself, and you get to go to this totally different environment, different time.
I will say though, something about the nature that I don't think either of us or any of us in the cast expected was that Melbourne, Australia is incredibly rainy. I mean, it's raining every day, like flood level rain. So that is the one thing about the show that while you're watching it, I don't think you realize like how long it takes us to shoot this show, because we have to stop for rain all the time over here. It's crazy.
So what do you do to kick back when you hopefully have streaming, right? You're hopefully able to do something on your phone or something when you're waiting in between shots, right? Or is there just fun?
The thing about nature, is we are in the bush. There's no service out here. But no, we have each other. We've got great company here. I love hanging out with Jack. Jack and I, we're always out here cracking jokes,
True.
chatting it up. It's good times.
And Jack, that's got to be hard because we have to be staying connected all the time with no service. You're not, basically, it's back to the days when I grew up, when we didn't have cell phones, when literally we left the house, we didn't communicate unless we communicated on a landline. Can you imagine that, Jack? So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely a big shift. I actually think it's kind of nice. I'm so sick of spending so much time on my phone that it's pretty nice to just, not live like that for a little bit. I think it's kind of funny. I actually think it's the older people on the cast that didn't grow up like that have a tougher time with it.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So guys, basically second season airs Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern on NBC. You can catch up on Peacock, which I love Peacock. I am always checking out the pro wrestling documentaries. I'm a former pro wrestler, Jack and Veronica, but ultimately that is that everyone that's the streaming service you need to have is Peacock. They give you the most bang for your buck. I'm seriously plugging it because I love watching Peacock as compared to some of these other streaming platforms. They really offers a lot of great stuff so people can catch up that way. And where can we connect quickly? Jack, your social media, and Veronica, your social media.
Yeah, it's real Jack Martin on Instagram.
All right. How about you?
And I'm at Veronica St. Clair, spelled normally.
All right. Well, we appreciate it, guys. All right. You're listening and watching the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. to the Neil Haley Show, also the Media Giant Effect. I'm excited to welcome her, my co-host Kim Sorrell, author of Love Is. Kim, what's going on? How are you?
Neil, I'm doing great. I'm in my car of all places out and about today.
That's what you need to be.
happened.
We need to be in this way in the pandemic. We can't be just stuck in a place, and you'll be seeing this a lot from me. So I like seeing my co-hosts do the same thing. We got to be traveling, meeting people, doing things, not stuck in one place. That's my takeaway. But we have an amazing guest, so go ahead and introduce our guest.
Oh my word. Okay, so Laura Silva is beautiful, gorgeous, talented, unbelievable. I love Eden. I love the character that you play. Married to a crazy man. I am so curious to ask you so many things. Like, is your husband anything? Is your husband Stephen anything like Simon? I mean, you do just such an amazing job. I just love the character. I love what you do with it. And I would just love to hear more about you. It is so wonderful to meet you.
Thank you, Kim. I have a huge smile on my face. That was so sweet. I so appreciate that. That is awesome. I'm so glad to hear you're a huge fan and of Eden as well. Yeah, it's been such a gift to be able to play Eden because we don't know a lot about her. So it was so amazing to be able to bring who I am, Lada, and what makes me into her. So like that strong woman of faith, and I didn't come into my faith until later in life. So it's like I don't know. I feel like I went through life almost to play her and get to play her now. Yeah, it's been great. And to answer your question, my husband Stephen, he does have a little bit of an Italian temper. Very rare. It's never like directed at me, but I know he can get a little like boiling, and so I've been able to pull off of real experience to handle Simon.
Oh my goodness. Well, it is what it is for sure, but I think that it's got to be amazing to be part of a project that's getting such popularity. The Chosen, I mean, it's huge, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yes. It's growing, like, I mean, just the worldwide views and the our app and how we're streaming season 1 and 2, you can find it everywhere almost, but whether it's Amazon or Peacock, and now that we have episodes 1 and 2 of season 3 being released in over 2,000 screens, nationwide, it's almost like it's growing faster than we can like keep up with it, and that's been mind-blowing. I have to like pinch myself.
Yeah, well, it is an amazing show. There's no doubt about it, and sheds light on so many different things. But you're right, Eden is not a character that is that you read about all throughout the Bible, all throughout the New Testament when Simon Peter's around. And so how has that been like for character development and whatever, because you only had so much to draw on, probably.
Right. Yeah, between what I had to do honestly was a lot of prayer, because I was so anxious to have this responsibility of playing a character from the Bible that you don't really know a lot about, except for that Jesus healed her mother, Simon Peter's mother-in-law. So you hear that side of it, but then you don't know, okay, well, how was their marriage, and what could have, what was it like to be married to a fisherman who is in debt and now is following Jesus? And it's been incredible. It's been challenging for sure, but I don't know how I've been able to do it, honestly, just with supernatural power and help, and then just relying and staying true to who I am to bring her to life, so that what you're seeing on screen is authentically me in that moment as Eden, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
answer. I love that answer.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was going to kind of add on to this kind of role once you got in The Chosen versus some of your other roles in your career. It must be great to be able to show your faith on set and things like that compared to some places where you're not able to.
Right. Yes, it is. I try to just honestly keep that in mind, even when I'm on a regular set. I'm not always it's not always as easy or welcoming to share your story. But if somebody asks, I just try to walk in that light so that people can see the joy, that I do have and the life that I do live. I hope that others will, I don't know, be open-minded and open-hearted to kind of see, that I am trying, like I am trying to be bold and kind of be able to tell my story and how I got to acting because I was open and to, I'm sorry, open to Jesus coming into my life and helping me get there, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's a huge part of my life, because I wouldn't have gotten to the Chosen without God, honestly, and really listening and opening up to him. So
Yeah, wow. I love that. I love what you're having to say. It's amazing how
yeah.
when you do just listen, when you pray and listen and believe and
Mhm.
want so badly to do what God wants you to do, how the doors
Right.
open. Um, it's a whole different life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And certainly it has had an effect on your life, even though you've been interested though since childhood, right? About acting and
Yeah, I in elementary school I went to a performing arts school, and we put on dances and shows and plays, and then after that I didn't do it again. I honestly just continued through regular, schools. There I didn't do any other performing arts. Um I didn't pursue it. I just thought that it was something that was fun that I did, and then that was that. So after high school, when I went into college and I felt misplaced and I went into the sciences, and I loved it and I was good at it, but I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel this like burning passion in my soul. And it wasn't until I pursued acting and honestly pursued Jesus to help me, because what a crazy industry to try to go into almost at like a later age. A lot of actors start when they're, as children, and I didn't take my first acting class until my mid 20s. So it's been mind-blowing and kind of a testament to show that God doesn't really have timelines. And I may feel unqualified as I sit here in this interview and how I'm on the show. I still feel like, wow, how am I the one that was chosen to do this? But that's a testament to God, that he doesn't care about all of that. He doesn't care that you went to the fanciest school or not. That when you're following your purpose and you're doing what you're supposed to do and following him, literal miracles can happen.
Now,
Yeah.
Kim wrote a book called Love Is, and go ahead with your Love Is question, Kim.
So Laura, I did write this book. I was diagnosed with cancer, and 4 months later my husband was, and he passed away 6 weeks after that. And it made me question the real meaning of love, right? It's sort of
Mhm.
a mystery, but John says that God is love. So not that
Yeah.
that God loves, but he is love, right? And so
Mhm.
figuring out what that means, I went on this year-long quest and search for the true meaning, and found out some things about love that were mind-blowing, like really
Yeah.
life-changing. And so I'm always curious, like love to you, uh what has it been to you? What is love like in your life?
Love has been truly life-saving for me, because I don't always love myself, and I'm I'm very sensitive, and growing up I've always been told that is not something that you should be, that you need to be strong, and you know um and honestly, love has saved my life, because I know that I was created from love, and that God truly does love us and who we are, and for us to just be proud of who we are, and to stand firm in that. So I don't know what the answer is, but that's what I've got.
I love it. That's a beautiful, beautiful answer.
Powerful. So where's the best place we can connect with you? And also, You said it's available in
Yeah.
theaters as well. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, episodes 1 and 2 will be available in theaters November 18th, and we can get those at thechosentickets.com. And we're so excited for you all to see what we've worked so hard on for season 3. And for me, you can connect with me on social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well. And yeah, I think that's it.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. Appreciate
right.
it.
All right. You're listening and watching the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. We're back to the Neil Haley Show and also the Media Giant. In fact, I'm excited to welcome first my co-host, Kim Sorrell, author of Love Is. Kim, how are you? And I know you're excited about our guest today. Here's the reason why. I mean, you talk about somebody that's creating an empire over here. I'm excited. We've been talking to so many of these stars of PureFlix movies and different things, and I'm excited to learn more about this guy. So go ahead, Kim, and introduce our guest.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. I'm doing great. And I have been so excited for this because, yes, an empire is being created, but it's an empire for the kingdom of God. And that is something very unique and very special and so wonderful. I know that so many lives are being touched by Michael Scott and everybody else who works for PureFlix. So I am so proud and happy to introduce you, Michael Scott, CEO and co-founder of PureFlix. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor to be on. Thanks so much.
Oh, the honor is more yours. I'm going to go first question, Kim. I want to talk about how did you come up with this idea? I mean, seriously, because you're thinking about it. I have 6 kids of my own, and certain shows they just should not be watching because specific things. And it's just, you know, when you're an adult, you can watch some of that content, but at the other times it's good content, just a few things that are put into a movie. Is that how you kind of came up with the idea?
Well, you know, it really started, you know, before we had the streaming service, PureFlix. We did a lot of theatrical movies, and it's a wonderful thing. You know, we see people love to go to the theater. They maybe go once a month, maybe once a quarter, once a year. But what we really realized, if we're going to touch people's lives, we know that people come home at night. A lot of times that TV will be turned on. It'll run right through the dinner hour until they go to sleep. Or now it's our phones, right? You know, we are connected to media all day. And so we wanted to be able to have something that we could touch people's lives wherever they're at. And that was kind of the genesis of PureFlix, the app. And it's a streaming service that you can get on any device, anytime, anywhere. And we have thousands of God-honoring titles, both movies, television series, documentaries that will uplift the whole family. And especially at Christmas time, some incredible content coming.
Oh my word. I looked at your Christmas lineup. I looked at part of your Christmas lineup because it is extensive. How many films do you have coming out?
Oh gosh, there's a couple hundred in there, and we have over about 15 exclusive films that are coming out. And so you can get everything. Some of you, we got LifeMark coming to the service November 22nd with Kirk Cameron. We got another film from Kirk Cameron, Saving Christmas. Angelic Christmas, one with Karen Abercrombie. And so there's some great titles coming, but not also for the family, but also for those kids too. We have tons of stuff around Christmas for the kids, great cartoons from VeggieTales and other ones that people can watch and really get around as a family.
And Michael, did you think that was going to explode like this? I mean, especially when you had that idea as a co-founder.
First, when you kind of wade into something, you're never quite sure, right? But then as we started to get into it after a few months, you started to get comments back. Thank you so much for doing this. You touched my life. This show changed me, or this program met me right where I needed to be met and gave me some really valuable information, advice, just uplifted their spirit. So we saw that all the time. So we knew we were onto something. And I think in today's media culture, you're bombarded with all of this, the negative stuff, the sex, the violence, and other types of things that just are not God honoring. And this is a place where you can come, you can feel safe, and you know what's on here is going to ultimately be pointing you towards Christ.
And I can say, as a mother and a grandmother, there is nothing better than to know that you can turn a channel on and don't have to be hovering over
That's right.
to see if you have to turn it off, right? Yeah. So
Right.
it's
How
so
often
wonderful.
the kids sneak away into, the YouTube and all these things, and you're like, what am I hearing out of that thing? And so this, you can give them the controller, you can let them go crazy, they can watch whatever they want, whether it be cartoons, movies, whatever, and it's going to be safe. And you don't have to worry. You can, especially during this holiday season, it can be so busy, you're getting gifts ready, you're cooking the meals, Thanksgiving, everything like this. This is something that you can really let them know that it's safe, and you can get done what you need to with the kids.
And with the online movement and seeing specifically things, I think the feedback from your fans is such an important thing, isn't it, Michael? So ultimately what programming to put on and what new originals to come out and create, right?
For us, we look at all of our members, they're part of our community, right? We want to be able to share feedback with them and vice versa. And we can talk, whether it be in social and other channels. And so I think forming that community is really important. And when people get on there and talking about each of the titles and what have you.
That's so true. I think now more than ever, especially after COVID, community is huge. And TV has certainly been a part of community, but not necessarily in the right way.
Well,
So
so often, how often you go to work or you go somewhere, people talk about the latest HBO show or whatever it is, and or show. I said, why can't they be talking about a really great faith-based show that they saw? Something that really is especially during the Christmas time, what better time to do that? One of the great shows we have on there, we have the new season of The Chosen as well, which is a great show. And you're getting into Christmas, you want to learn more about Jesus's life and what have you. What a great thing to turn on and kind of watch. And I think it's just, there's all types of shows like that. And I think there's probably a lot of shows that people haven't seen, maybe haven't heard about, that you're going to see on PureFlix. So lots of new content too, not just old content.
And you're definitely bringing old content on as well, right? And
yeah, absolutely,
because that was the premise of the beginning of PureFlix, right?
Right.
To do that.
I don't think anybody really has curated a faith library like we have of content, faith and family. And so all the classic titles that you've seen in theaters through the years, we have many of those titles and new titles. Every month we bring in new exclusive titles, new originals, both series. So if you want to watch a TV series and settle into something that you can watch multiple episodes of, you can do that. Or if you want to find the right movie at the right time, we have that as well. So it's perfect.
Yeah, well, and Christian films have changed a great deal, I have to say, from my youth. And the quality of the films is bar none. Like what you are doing is change the industry.
Yeah, we're trying to bring out more originals, better quality. We just had Legacy Peak on our service, and it's on there now with Lucas Black, Nothing is Impossible, David A.R. White. So some great new titles, but high quality titles too, titles that you can sit down and say, wow, that was really, really good. And so I think people will enjoy the quality of films and film. The Christian filmmaking has come so far from going back 15, 20 years ago. And we're seeing better acting, better production value, better stories. And I think they're ultimately reaching into people's lives and touching them at a time when they need it most.
Are you guys looking at streaming also like series as well for PureFlix?
Absolutely. I think people, everybody's a little different. Some people like movies, some people like series. So we have both. We have documentaries and other types of shows. So we cover the gambit, and I say also, for the guys out there, you want a little action adventure, you want some of those things, we have titles like that as well. We have tons of titles for any of the moms out there, any of the females out there. We have great titles for them. So we try to cover the gamut from the kids to the men to the women, everything. And no matter what age you are, if you're a grandmother or it's a young kid, we have something for you.
Yes, well, and the star quality also. I mean, you're drawing some pretty big names to come and do your movies.
Yeah, and we have Kirk Cameron's movie come, Lucas Black. We have we're getting ready. We're constantly shooting new movies. So we got new stuff that we're shooting even right now. We got coming up. So just a lot of exciting. We want to keep it fresh. We want to keep it new for the member.
All right, day in the life of you. How's that day start and how does it end being a CEO? Because again, the C-suite is such a challenging position, especially especially the growth of where you guys have come from the beginning. But explain that kind of day in the life.
It's their long days and it's a lot of work to do this. But you know what? It's a blessing for me, to be able to hear the feedback of members that are getting touched all over the country, Canada, US, and to be able to see that is an honor. That's what keeps you going to want to do more and more. And so, day in the life, a lot of phone calls sometimes, sometimes we're doing interviews. I'll get, be interacting with the content makers for the movies and different things like that. We'll be talking about too, one of our big things is how do we create more community for the members so they can talk and share their thoughts and ideas and all of those types of things. Because we don't want this just to be a place where you come and consume content. We want to be a place where we're in a relationship with that member. And so that they can give us feedback, we can give them feedback on what's coming and what's happening and really touch their lives or their families.
You've hit the nail on the head. If you can create community in PureFlix, it's a game changer. You will have customers forever and happy customers because the communities aren't being created by companies. It's more personal brand. And if companies can figure out that breaking point, say, okay, as a brand that's a company, we can create communities. It's a game changer. Seth Godin's big about tribes. And if you guys can create a tribe at PureFlix, and it looks like you are, and that's probably next what you're striving for is that kind of opportunity, I think.
And we want to create those tribes in that community because ultimately the larger our community is, the larger our tribes, whatever you want to call them, it's the more we have and the more people interacting means the more shows we can bring, the more lives we can touch, and better shows for that matter. So it's a great thing. So we're a big believer in that. And I think during this Christmas time, coming together, family, friends, watching a great show and being inspired is a great way for
All right. Kim has a quick question about Love Is. Go ahead, Kim, with your question.
Yeah. So Michael, a few years ago, I dedicated a year in search of the true meaning of love, because it seems to be this mystery, right? But John says that God is love. So what does that really mean? So I took 1 Corinthians 13 and I took one word a month to figure out what is love that is patient, what is love that is kind. Most of the time I was on the streets of Haiti. I know you've got a brother who is out in the mission field, I think still, right?
Yes.
And so, it's a different dynamic when you're in a country like Haiti. And anyway, so the things that I found out about love just blew my mind. And I know that love has got to play a part in this because it's a passion for you. It's not just a job for you. And so what does that look like for you?
You know what? I think, I love all of our members. So first starting there, if we can touch them, bring great content into them and show that love of Christ, ultimately, that's the greatest honor that, we could possibly have. And I think we're seeing that happen in different members' lives and what have you. And so it's super exciting. And especially at this Christmas time, without love at Christmas time, what is there? That's what Jesus talked about that all the time. And so as we go into this Christmas season, I think that's the foundation for a lot of our faith and what we have. And so it's so important. And I'm so excited. Every Christmas season that comes, you can't beat it.
Exactly. Okay. Best place to find PureFlix is just go right to the app and download it, right? today, or
Yes, you know what? You go on. So whatever device you have, whether you have a smart TV, you're on your iPhone, an iPad, or Roku, or whatever device, we have PureFlix on it. Search PureFlix, download the app, sign up, one monthly fee, or you can do an annual plan. You get access on any device, anytime, anywhere, and you can watch as much content as you want. So it's an incredible thing. You can also go on the web at pureflix.com. Once again, pureflix.com.